Okay, it is April 17th, 4:45, and I call this Transit Commission meeting to order. We have a quorum of members present in the room. Number 2 is discussion and possible action on the purchase of 2 new 2025 Ford Explorers to replace the current supervisor vehicles.
We have CARES money that's left over from 2020, and it was scheduled to be lost at the end of March. We've got an extension from the FTA, and that money is 100%. So the money has been approved by the FTA to be used in that function. There was just shy of $1 million available. We pulled $500,000 towards operations, and then the other $400,000 to replace those 2 vehicles, plus the next 2 things we're going to talk about. So the money's approved 100% through the FTA, and nothing responsible from the city of Wausau. Our current vehicles are 2006 and 2008 for these vehicles that would be getting replaced. Rusted out, they look like complete garbage. So.
How much are these vehicles?
It was in the packet there. I believe they're older. I'll look to give you the exact number. $39,658.40 each.
We couldn't find anything cheaper?
It's possible, I guess, to find stuff cheaper.
I guess I've been on this commission a long time, and I don't understand why CARES money was left to the end. We always have operation issues and money, and I guess I'm concerned, even for public perception of this, that we're spending, what is it, 80-some thousand for 2 vehicles. That isn't, I have no problem buying vehicles, but that is my concern. I've gotten some feedback and said, the bus, we have people not really happy about the bus being there. I'm a very big bus advocate, but I just want to make sure that we're spending soundly.
There are other vehicles available. We looked at the different choices of what was available, and this was what seemed to be the most realistic when it comes to new ones that were on the state contract.
I think 39,000 for 2 for truck.
It's 39,000 each.
So it's
I know,
Yeah.
but 2,039 for a truck in this day and age doesn't seem.
Right, and sometimes we did look at Equinoxes also, but sometimes we drive the vehicles also are used to drive the drivers up to the transit center between shifts, and some of our drivers are a little bigger than others, so to stuff 5 of them in a Equinox would be pretty tough.
What kind of car is this? Is this
A Ford Explorer.
Explorer.
Yeah,
That's bigger. Okay, that's bigger than an Equinox.
It is, yes.
Okay.
It would be equivalent to like a Traverse if you're looking at a Chevy. Just yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's just a little bit bigger, a little more room. We're using
down from an Expedition.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is going to finance next Tuesday for a budget modification, because
We're using CARES.
it doesn't matter, you still have to have a budget modification because it needs to be in the budget.
It wasn't in the budget.
Yeah. And then it will go to council on the 29th.
We definitely didn't lose any CARES money though, right?
We will not. No,
Okay.
we work very diligent to make sure we don't. We reiterate.
Well, and I know that you are in the hot seat, but you weren't the one.
Well, I really, we've had some significant breaks in management. And, when this was occurring, when Greg gave his notice, I tried really hard to get us to move along on the HR functions to replace him. And then, as Matthew was, I tried very hard for our HR to work with that situation, and obviously there's been a lot of issues because there was no institutional knowledge on managing the grants, applying for grants, all of that.
I'll also say that with the way that we push this out, and and this isn't like a threat in any way like that, but like to go back and
Yeah.
revisit it, there is no
This
time.
is the last.
No,
one.
I
Yeah.
understand,
It's either
but
yes or no, yeah.
questions,
Because if we say no to it, then we won't buy the vehicles and the
right,
money
yeah.
will go back.
well,
Uh,
I'm just asking questions, and I think that's appropriate, right?
It is. No, I just wanted to make sure you knew that there's no way, we don't have
Right,
time
and
to
that's
go
why
back.
I needed Mary Ann to explain how that happened,
Yeah.
because that's weird. I know Mary Ann's really on top of
Well,
the grants that we had.
it has been a struggle, and it's been, time consuming, from the finance department's standpoint, because we've had to step in and, learn how to apply for the grants even, because we didn't have anyone on staff that had any knowledge, even just for our annual operating.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I knew nothing, and she sat on the phone and watched
Yeah.
as I learned with Evan as he walked
Right.
us
Yeah.
through this, so this was like, hey, we have to figure this out,
Didn't
put the
have-
pieces
Well, I
together.
appreciate,
Uh,
I just, it's
Yeah.
good to have
Absolutely.
questions
Yeah.
so we can answer them and get it. Transparency is really good, and I know that, I've already got calls, and I just wanted it to be that it doesn't mean I'm voting no, but it's, I'm asking,
Yeah.
is that the cheapest vehicle? Why are we doing this? So that's
And
why
another
we have
thing
those
too is the vehicles that
discussions.
we do have, they've had since '06.
Yeah,
So.
and I know
we've
we've talked about those passenger vehicles for a long time, haven't we? I mean, I think we talked about replacing them for quite a while, and that's why it's kind of funny that we're up until the last month.
Well, and
I don't think anybody knew the money from CARES could be used for that. I think we kind of got a revelation
did,
working with Evan.
but-
Okay.
we did, but, again, you just didn't have any continuity of staffing. In '24, I had a week's vacation planned at the beginning of December, and the mayor came into my office and said no one had done our annual grants for even operations. I canceled my vacation, worked till 10 o'clock at night, every night that week, trying to get, I didn't have a login, I had no idea what the applications even look like. That's the kinds of challenges that we've had since we've had this lack of continuity, and with no one there steering the ship on a regular basis. And, when you have these big breaks, then you are in kind of a difficult situation, because a new director that comes on, is solving fires and problems that in operations, and obviously, the buses have to keep going and they have to be on schedule. So that takes these new directors their attention in the beginning, and so there's no one there basically spending the money. So it, I think it's a big lesson for the city in multiple ways, like standard operating procedures, backups, so that people know jobs. It has been a real challenge. And we're fortunate that we have a great federal rep who has helped and been patient and, done the extensions for us, because we've gone and had other extensions filed to keep this money available to us. So we're real fortunate.
I was just gonna say, when I saw the cost, I too was like, so it's for the supervisor and,
And transporting the drivers to the TC, so when we have shift changes, there's drivers that drive up and they get out of that car, get on the buses and then drive back.
so those are the main things that they're used for? That's what I was wondering, because I don't know that much about that, so I was like, because,
We sent people out of town recently in a 2006 minivan to go to Chicago with
and then, yeah,
and then to Minneapolis the week after.
so they have to pick up,
Yeah, like when we go on training or something like that, that's the only vehicles we have to drive are these old vans that are,
Yeah.
literally falling apart and embarrassed. They're literally, the fenders are rusting right off of them.
Our fleet is shabby, so I think we.
And it's the same car as the squads.
I too,
Yep.
that's the cost of everything
Yeah.
is just so much. And so that's the thing, like, you know, then we'll get calls and,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but, yeah. So,
Okay, any other questions?
I-
Otherwise,
I'm
motion to
making, I'll
approve?
make that motion to purchase the 2025 Ford Explorer.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Discussion and possible action to purchase 2 new 2025 T350 high roof vans and 1 new 2025 E450 cutaway van to replace current paratransit fleet.
So currently, our paratransit fleet is 2012 4,500 GMCs or whatever. So and their useful life is way beyond what the federal recommendation is. It's been that way for a long time, and the CARES money was there once again. As me and Aaron were going through it, we realized that the CARES money could be used for this, and we have these vehicles that are out of date. So what we did in comparison to the other one was we downsized 2 of them to smaller, like transit van size, because a lot of times it only haul 1 passenger at a time, a lot of times, so that they could use that on a day. And then we have 1 brand new cutaway that the county bought us last year. So to get a second cutaway and then 2 of the transit vans, we have 2 different sizes to work with. And then the fleet is completely updated, and we'd still have the same amount. We would sell the current fleet and then have these 4 vehicles in place of it. And it's what we use to haul the handicapped folks for the fair transit program.
Sure. So, question, just in selling our current fleet, what happens to that money? Does that have some kind of issue with what we could do with that money?
Well, it goes against the grant, so, you know, like.
Okay, got it.
what is the cutaway?
So the vans that you see where you see the nose of a van, but it's a bus on the back. And that is the pricing, and this is on the state contract as well, both
So-
of these prices.
This will be enough capacity, you think, with the changing to the 2 high roof vans?
I believe it will be. I think the other 2 vans will be more useful for the guys, plus they're 4-wheel drive, so I think they'll be safer in the winter time when the guys are going out.
I just wondered that.
Yeah, and you can still seat 7 people in there.
Okay.
Even with the wheelchair, because the chairs fold up, so I think the capacity will not be a problem. We don't use our current fleet to its full capacity.
Okay,
So,
that's good to know
for
too.
sure.
Is there a reason? I mean, we're probably getting off because it's not about this, but is there a reason that we're not using the fleet, or do we have less people asking? I think part of it, can I just be honest, is I don't think people know about it as much. I think it's a great service, and I think that it could really be helpful, and I tell people about it, and I just wonder if you think that is part of it, is just the not being knowledgeable of that.
I would assume so, yeah. Some people don't know how to get into the program, maybe. Could be why it doesn't get used. And it's tough. I mean, staffing wise too, with our tripper buses and everything.
Yeah.
If it got real busy, we would definitely need to go back to the budget committee to add more
As
staff.
staff, yeah, okay. Well, it's just good to know, because I see this as being a really good service for our.
And we did talk with
residents.
the folks from the Cross and Sheboygan about how they run their programs and kind of looking at ways that they do things outside where they give a little more money to help kind of cover the cost of running those, because it doesn't take in, we lose money every time the bus goes out.
Right.
Where there are other ways of utilizing it, but of course with everything happening, we're just focused on updating the fleet and then seeing what we can do next year to increase that passenger count.
In the picture, how many wheelchairs, is it spots, is it?
There's just, in the small vans, there's one wheelchair, in the big van, there's 2. Actually, you can fold the seats up and get 2 even in the small one, but our guys would never put 2 wheelchairs in a small van like that, especially if they're electric wheelchairs and stuff, because you wouldn't want anybody getting hurt if they're not driving them properly. In the bigger bus, we already have that one, and we took seats out so that we'd have more accessibility. So if we did more than 1 wheelchair, it would happen in the cutaway.
Do you do that a lot? Take like two people for different trips? Do you try to do that? I mean, I would think that would be very difficult. I'm just,
It is difficult. We do it when we can.
Yeah,
but
okay,
it
because
doesn't happen
it's
often.
just, that would be a scheduling nightmare, I would think.
Well, so a lot of times what we do is we'll pick one up and then they'll stay on while they pick somebody else off,
Okay.
you know, but it doesn't happen all that often, but we're capable.
Okay, I'll take a motion to purchase. Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll motion.
I'll second
all in favor say aye.
it.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimous. Discussion and possible action on adding summer school bus route X4.
Yeah, so every year when the summer school is at East, there is no bus route that goes out there, so we like to run a bus out there. One discussion that has been though is that every year we just do one trip, and there have been some concerns that maybe we should do 2 trips because kids that are running a little late, and sometimes we'll do special ones, but we have the staff, they're gonna go back and do shop work or clean or, you know, do something anyway, so they're already there. It would just be the cost of running the bus an extra 8 miles or whatever it is to go back up one more time. Otherwise, it would be as is where we just do the one trip, but I think it would be helpful if we did make 2 trips.
So what are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we make 2 trips up there in the morning to for those kids that maybe start a little later or whatever. Because what happens is they get on Henry, and as close as the Henry bus gets is Horace Mann, and they can't get to East. So sometimes our driver will try and go out of his way to get there. Other times he'll drop them at Brown Street and they gotta walk a distance. And it does happen quite a bit, but we could try it, and if it gets to the point where it's constantly for no reason, we'll just stop the second trip.
I have input because I teach for one of the charters, at one of the charters for the district, and so we are housed at East and we have our own summer school. Yeah, I think it would be nice because it is a downfall of being at East that you can't really, yeah.
How come, why don't they have the summer school at West, maybe on a regular bus route? You wouldn't have to be running an extra bus.
I don't know if there are.
The construction is what it was for the
That's-
last couple of years. They've been doing a lot of work at that
Are
school.
they doing less than after the business?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, ever since I've been at the school, I am 13 years. And ever since I've been there, it's always been on the east, like, I don't know if they have a middle school one at Horace Mann, maybe that was it, for a few years we were at Horace Mann. Or a couple of years, but I don't know, that's a good question.
Because it would solve a lot of transit issues.
What,
Saying,
Yeah, we do have the staff though in the summer to run that bus. It's just a little extra cost running a bus, but we can't fire everybody in the summer and then.
no, I'm not saying.
We don't want to fire anybody.
No, I didn't say that.
But they would have to get kids from the east side to the west side.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, so, I don't,
Yeah, we're not running all the other trippers that go out though, so I
Yeah.
can see where, I see your point, but it's outside.
Yeah.
our control anyway.
Yeah.
they have had it at west at times. They
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
But I know last year with the construction.
Yeah.
So I don't,
What we would like to do is if we could do 2 trips in the morning, I think it's important that we get the kids out there, so.
yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second
okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Okay, the next one is mine, select vice chairperson. I went back to Caitlin and she said it was on your agenda and you didn't discuss it. That apparently was my oversight and I apologize. I don't remember that at all. No one said, hey, you missed something. But, so we are now looking for a nomination to be vice chair if somebody wants to volunteer.
Does it, Kathy, would you?
I don't like on
Okay.
the Robert
Okay.
Rules of Order and
I mean, I can, but we'll see what it doesn't. Okay, well,
Okay,
sorry, you're
I'll
nominating me?
nominate Carol.
perfect.
Alex,
Okay, great. Any other?
pinch if I had to.
Okay. Okay, I'm closing nominations and Carol by unanimous is now the vice chair. Thank you so much. And now adjournment, motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second by Kathy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, thanks.
Well, Mayor,